Good Monday evening, football fans. How are you doing this wonderful evening? Hope you had a fantastic weekend. I know as of the time that this is being recorded, I am still looking ahead to the weekend. This is Saturday morning when this is being recorded for Monday night. So, hope everybody had a fantastic weekend wherever you were, whatever you did, hopefully it was fun and enjoyable and you got the rest you needed as we head into another week. It is week 3 of the preseason. We are now into, this is actually episode 14. The Colts podcast episode was episode 13. This week we start out, this is episode 14 of this new year, and I am uh, just pumped for what we've been able to do already, how the series has gone. Thank you so much to all of you who have been listening when the podcast release. Deeply appreciate it. Deeply appreciate it. Thank you so much. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button for the podcast and ring the bell so that you get notified every time a new podcast goes live, which will be every Tuesday through Saturday here very shortly. So this week, here's what we're looking at. Monday night's episode is this. Obviously, we're going to do the NFC West. And then Wednesday night's episode, we are actually going to dive into some of the Vegas odds and kind of just have some fun with the Vegas odds. And then the Friday episode, I got a couple of topics I want to go off of, setting kind of what the final, more or less, the final team rosters can potentially look like, take care of all the news that has happened through the preseason. Like we know J.J. McCarthy's out. The Steelers have a trade in place with the 49ers for Brandon Ayuk, but they want to sign Ayuk. The Dallas Cowboys, do they get a deal done? They may have gotten one done this weekend. And, I will talk about it on Wednesday or Friday. There's a lot of different things going through my head on this Saturday morning as I'm recording this podcast. Will Dak get a new deal? What's the deal going to be? What's CeeDee Lamb's deal going to be? The trades, the Falcons to me locked up, and if you guys have been listening, you know I love the Falcons. I love what they're doing. I thought it was a fantastic move. The coaching hires, the coordinator hires, the way they switched that team around, and it looks really good. I like the look. They now have Justin Simmons back there with Jesse Bates, one of the, in my opinion, now have a top 10, easy top 10, maybe top 5 safety duo. And I'm just talking safeties, not corners. Although they do have A.J. Terrell on the outside. So truly one of the best back ends of the secondary. Then they get Judon to be able to help with the 3-4 blitzing. I think that's going to be fantastic. Look for them to potentially make another trade at the deadline to potentially get another third down rusher, another guy that can be an edge rush from a team that's struggling in last year of the contract. They know they're not going to be able to re-sign him. Get something before he leaves town. That's really what I think is going to happen. And I like where this is. I really do. I like where this is. I've enjoyed the training camp depth chart series we've been on. I keep tweaking it and finally got it to where we're doing the entire division with the last 3. We did mostly all of the AFC South except the Colts, as that one was going to be a specialized podcast that, released on Saturday night. And then we did the AFC West, the NFC South, and now we're going to do the NFC West. So it's evolved. I'm continuing to learn what I can do in the time frame, being able to do different things, keeping it moving, and with less delays in the middle, which is what I'm trying to slowly work on. I do want to make sure it feels more like it's not just scripted, because it isn't scripted, as it has been very clear. I just try to slow down a little bit too much, I think, and I'm going to try to tweak that. We're gonna call an audible on how we do a couple different things. So, with all that being said, we have one division left in the NFL, and that is the AFC, or sorry, NFC, NFC West. My views on this division are very, very simple. I love the Rams. I love the Rams' youth on defense. I love how their defense played at the end of last year. I love what they did in the draft. My pick for Rookie of the Year, although this is not the official prediction podcast, my pick for Rookie of the Year on defense is Jared Verse. I think in this defense, the way that the coordinator is going to be able to use him, Sean McVay has got the offense. This defensive coordinator has been there for a long time, working everything around, and I believe that the skill set of Jared Verse fits the Rams really well, and I see him being an immediate impact player, potentially week number 1 against the Detroit Lions. You know what, screw it. Let's jump right into it. Let's jump into the Rams. So one of the picks that I have for the Super Bowl, one of the teams that I easily have in that Super Bowl window bubble, if you would say, and it's really simple why as well. Really simple why. Now, one thing about the Rams that's interesting is, like Stetson Bennett, he was gone all last year. He's back. Don't know all the details of what it was, but McVay is a player's coach, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Bennett has looked good. He has looked good. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be suspended for the PED, so he's out for 6 games. So Bennett will be the backup to Stafford. Their depth chart looks like this: Stafford, Garoppolo, Bennett, and then they got Deshaun Wynn. And then running back is stacked: Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, Ronnie Rivers, and Boston Scott. Wide receivers: Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Demarcus Robinson, Tutu Atwell, Jordan Washington, Tyler Johnson. Xavier Smith is a name. Watch for him. If Tutu gets injured and DeMarcus gets injured, watch for Xavier Smith. He's one of my dark horses for potentially later in the season guy that pops up. Tight ends are Tyler Higbee. Colby Parkinson, I think, is actually a big addition, especially for Stafford. Higbee has been very hot and cold. I think Parkinson gives them a 2 tight end set that is really, really needed, with both of them being able to catch. Davis, Allen, and Hunter Long finish out the tight ends. Now, their offensive line is going to be, it's going to be where it really matters. I mean, really, really, really where it matters. They got injuries right now on the offensive line. They need the offensive line to be healthy. They really do. This team is going to live or die by this offensive line. Left tackle, Alaric Jackson. Backup, A.J. Curry. Jonah Jackson is your left guard, with Logan Bruss as the backup. Steve Avila with Mike McAllister as the center. Kevin Dotson and Zach Thomas are the right guards. Rob Havenstein and Joe Noteboom is the right tackles, or are the right tackles. Then you look at the defense. I love it. I love the defense. Braden Fisk. Braden Fisk, the defensive tackle from Florida State, who was a little bit smaller, height-wise, size-wise, a little bit smaller, but played with Jared Verse, okay? So Braden Fisk and Tyler Davis are your two left ends. Then you have Bobby Brown III with Larnell. Hang on, want to get this close to me. Murchison as your tackles. Kobe Turner, the very bright young gun, young right end, with Anthony Goodlow as the backup there. That defensive line is young. They're going to make mistakes. We know this. They are going to make mistakes. The question is whether or not they're able to continue growing and continue learning. And I believe they will be able to. I believe Turner made huge strides last year. Okay? Huge strides last year. My thought is really simple. They will be able to become a solid front line. The linebackers, Ernest Jones, Christian Roseboom, Jared Verse, Darius Williams. I love the linebacking core. Backups are Nick Hampton, Jacob Hummel, Troy Reeder, Michael Hecht. Beautiful. The backups are good enough. That's what I'll say. The backups are good enough. Your corners, Darius Williams, Kobe Durant. Kobe Durant are your two strong side. You got your strong safety, Cameron Curl, who I've loved for a while. Kareem Kinchins backs him up. John Johnson's the free safety with Jason Taylor II backing him up. Tre'Davious White. I said it when they signed him, and I said it on the podcast in the free agency one. Tre'Davious White is a sneaky pick. Get him out of Buffalo, out of the cold. He's in LA. He's in a dome. Look for Tre'Davious White to be maybe not the A corner he was, but look for him to be a solid B plus corner that really makes it hard on the quarterback to make decisions. Who are you going to attack? And that's really all you have to do. Create indecision. Let your line and your linebackers take care of the rest. Quentin Lake is the nickelback with Russ Yeat as the backup there, and Trey Tomlinson is the backup corner. Then you got Joshua Carty and Ethan Evans, the kicker and the punter. So that's the Los Angeles Rams. Let's go north. Let's head up to Seattle, a team that has a brand new coach, Mike McDonald. I expect a different game plan than what Pete Carroll did when it comes to the offensive approach. I do not know if Geno Smith is the correct quarterback for it. Sam Howell is second string. PJ Walker is the third string. The running backs, I am hoping Kenneth Walker is able to stay healthy. Loved him at Michigan State. Thought he was going to be a huge bell cow for Pete Carroll. It did not happen as of yet. Hopefully he can stay healthy and be that driving force. Zach Charbonnet, Kenny McIntosh, and George Hollins. George Holani are the three backups to Kenneth Walker. Your wide receivers, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith Enigma. Then you got Jake Bobo, Laviska Shenault Jr., and then you got Dansky Young. And really, the dark horse here to me is D. Eskridge. I really think that I don't know. There's just something about it. If Lockett goes down, Bobo's been around for a while. I mean, he could step in, definitely could. But I think I think Eskridge may have something. I'm not 100% sure. Don't, not going out on any wild limbs right now. But just look for him. He's one of my dark horse, another one of my dark horse receivers. The tight ends: Noah Fant, Pharaoh Brown, Tyler Mallory. So tight end, Fant's good. Pharaoh Brown has been around for a while. Fant can play, I guess is really what it comes down to. Fant can play, and he is a very decent tight end. The part that needs to stay together right here, the offensive line needs to play the season together. Charles Cross is your left tackle with Radwan O'Neal as the backup. Then you've got Lakin Tomlinson with McClendon Curtis as the backup. Connor Williams is your center with Olu Owatami is his backup. Anthony Bradford and Christian Haynes are your right guards. Your right tackles are Abraham Lucas and George Fant. Now, Fant is a very good backup. He could start for some other teams. So I believe Fant being a backup, the tackle position has a solid tackle as the backup. So the tackle position you've got covered. But they got to stay healthy. Their defense is a 3-4, no longer 43. Jaron Reed is your left end with Byron Murphy, the backup there. Then you've got Jonathan Hankins and Cameron Young as your nose tackles. Leonard Williams, Mike Morris are your right ends. Uchenna Nwu and Derek Hall are your wing backers. Then you got Tyrell Dotson and John Rudigan, Jerome Baker and Tyrese Knight, and Draymond Jones with Boy Mayo as the weak side or strong side backers. Linebacking core is a little bit weak. It leaves a little bit to be desired. It absolutely does. So here's my thought on the backers. Dotson, I think what my fear is the zones. They're going to get lost. Good quarterbacks, tight ends especially, and think about the tight ends they're going to be facing. You've got Higbee and Parkinson for sure. Higbee and Parkinson for sure. Then you've got Kittle for sure. We know Trey McBride is in Arizona. We'll go through their depth chart here in a second. But the way that it all works, that linebacking core seems to be really, really weak to me. Now, let's look at their secondary for a second. Because if your linebacking core is weak, a good line and a good secondary can cover it. So let's look at the secondary. Rick Woolen, Michael Jackson are your two strong corners. Rashawn Jenkins with Kayvon Wallace are your strong safeties. Julian Love, Kobe Bryant are your free safeties. Trey Brown, Lance Boykin are your right corners. Devon Witherspoon with Artie Burns are your nickelbacks. I like Witherspoon. In fact, if I'm most other teams, Witherspoon being now negated to a nickelback I'd be trying to trade for him to get him and have him start as my corner. In Carolina, if Carolina could get Witherspoon and play him across from J.C. Horn, that'd be a really solid young secondary. The Broncos, same thing. Jets, same thing. I don't like Witherspoon end up being a nickel guy. Just, I don't know. It seems like a waste. But we'll see. Jason Myers is the place kicker, and Michael Davidson is the punter. Okay. Going a little bit slower because we talked a little bit more at the beginning. That's all right. We're going to dive into the Arizona Cardinals before we get to the Super Bowl runner-ups. Could say losers. Chiefs fans would be very happy if I said losers. But we're going to go runner-ups. All right. So, Arizona Cardinals depth chart heading into the 2024 season as it stands right now. Kyler Murray, the starter. Desmond Ridder, the backup. Clayton Tune is the third string. Here's what's really interesting, and I seriously thought this was not going to be the case. They make that trade for Desmond Ridder. Rondale Moore is hurt for the Falcons now. So far, now there's nobody wins or loses trades that are like this necessarily. But let's just be honest. Ridder could start 4 games this year. Murray has a hard time staying healthy. So there's a big chance that he'll start 2 to 4 games. Just saying. He couldn't do it in Atlanta, and Arthur Smith was giving him easy routes, and he missed throws. Maybe a change of scenery does him good. Hopefully so. I liked him in Cincinnati. I liked his poise. I still like his poise. His decisions just need to be better. That simple. Really, it's that simple. All right, running backs. James Conner, Amari DiMencardo, Trey Benson, the rookie, and Michael Carter. Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch are your 3 receivers. Backing them up are Zay Jones, Chris Moore, and Zach Pascal. Zay Jones, I think Michael Wilson's going to get hurt. So watch for Pascal or Zay Jones to really end up being one of those slot receivers that it's not popping up out of nowhere. They're there, but they just get the opportunity and they're going to run with it. All right, the tight end, Trade McBride, Elijah Higgins, and Tip Raymond are your tight ends. Then you got your linemen, Paris Johnson Jr. as your left tackle, which is big. Kelvin Beachum is the backup. Evan Brown and Isaiah Adams are your left guards. Your centers, Hiati Freebolt and John Gaines II. Then you've got Will Hernandez. Question mark by a lot of Cardinal fans. I know, because it was one of those things they were wondering, is he worth the money? They're paying him a good salary. Is he worth the money? Tristan Colon is backing him up. Jonah Williams, the big right tackle now in Arizona, with Elijah Wilkerson backing him up. So the offensive line should not be bad, pending injuries. The defense is a 4-3 defense. Zaven Collins, Cameron Thomas are your left ends. Belial Nichols, Kyron Tonga are your strong defensive tackles. Your weak defensive tackles are Justin Jones, Roy Lopez, and your right end, Dante Stills, and Darius Robinson. Your backers, we got Mac Wilson Sr. with Owen. I'm going to say it is Papoe. And then your middle linebacker, Kaiser White, good player. Chris Barnes, experienced player. Middle backers are good. Dennis Gardock and Xavier Thomas are your strong side backers. Your corners, Sean Murphy Bunting and Elijah Jones on the strong side. Your strong safety is Jalen Thompson, backed up by Dadrian Taylor. Oh my word. Dean Demerson. DTD. There, that's simple. DTD. Your free safety is still Buda Baker. And you got Andre Charine as the backup there. Then your weak corner is Max Moulton. Backing him up, Starling Thomas. Your nickelback, Garrett Williams. Hopefully he holds up this year. Hopefully. They need him to. With Devod Wilson as the backup there. The kicker, Matt Prater. Beautiful kicker to have in a dome in Arizona. And then the punter, Blake Gillikin. So honestly, I am not of the opinion that Arizona is going to be horrible. I am not. I believe they have a receiver core that is it's serviceable. Zay Jones may not be the most consistent. Zach Pascal may not be the most consistent. Michael Wilson can get injured. Marvin Harrison, we expect to be fully there, ready to roll. Wide receiver number 1, Gray Dortch, is a really good slot guy. They got Kyler Murray. I don't love Kyler Murray. But at the end of the day, I'd rather have Kyler Murray and not Tua Tagovailoa. Sorry, Dolphin fans. I would rather have Kyler Murray over Tua. Kyler has gotten to the playoffs. Yeah, I agree. He gives up way too easily. He's definitely moody. And I think his arm is going to fall off faster due to the baseball stuff. So that's very possible. I'm not taking anything away from that. But I like what Kyler Murray can do a little bit more. That's all I'm saying. I don't think they're going to be horrible. I do think they can pull out 6-7 wins and upset people post-Thanksgiving. One more team. And as they say, it all comes down to this. Yep, it does. San Francisco 49ers, the Super Bowl runner-ups. Their current depth chart looks like this. Brock Purdy at starting quarterback, Brandon Allen and Joshua Dobbs. The 2 backups, Christian McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell, Jordan Mason. 3 running backs. Deebo Samuel is listed as wide receiver 1. Take note of that. Is listed as wide receiver 1. Brandon Ayuk, Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, Chris Conley, Jacob Coing, and then Ronnie Bell is also there. Look for Ronnie Bell eventually to maybe, depending on the Ayuk situation and Pearsall situation. If Ricky Pearsall can get back and be playing, that's fine. It's not nothing weird is going to happen there. But look out, Ronnie Bell. I like Ronnie Bell. I really do. I think Ronnie Bell could be a serviceable receiver number 2 in a lot of offenses, so we'll see what happens. All right, left tackle. Left tackle, Jalen Moore with Chris Hubbard as the backup. Aaron Banks, Nick, oh my gosh, Zakiji. That's what we're sticking with, Zakiji. I like that idea too, Zakiji. All right, anyway, so Aaron Banks, Nick Zakiji are your left guards. John Brendel and Ben Birch Are your centers, or sorry, Barch, are your centers. Spencer Burford and John Feliciano are your right guards. Colton McKinnitz and Brandon Parker are your right tackles. Not going to lie, that offensive line is not the same as it has been in the past. And really, that's as simple as I can put it. They won't be as dominant. I do not believe Purdy will have as much time. Purdy comes back to earth. I don't think this team, present state right now, wins the division. I really don't. Wait for my official predictions. In a week and a half, they'll be coming next week. I don't see it. All right, the defense. They run a 43. Leonard Floyd, Yader Gross Matos is backing him up now. Malik Collins with Kevin Givens. Javon Hargrove with Jordan Elliott. The defensive tackles, Nick Bosa with Robert Beal Jr. backing him up. Your backers, we know most of them well. Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner. The backups for them are Devondre Campbell, Curtis Robinson, and then your other backer, Demetrius Flanagan Fowles, with Jalen Graham as the backup. The corners, Travarius Ward and Ambry Thomas. Hafunga and George Odom are your strong safeties. Jai Brown and Taylor Hawkins are your free safeties. Damondor Lenore and Isaac Yiadom are your weak side corners. Renardo Green and Samuel Womack III are your nickelbacks. Jake Moody is your kicker. And then Mitch Wishnowsky is the punter. I question if the secondary is going to hold up as good. I know Ward is going to be okay. You got Hafunga, which is hard hitting. I get that. But there's just, the defensive line is so good. The offensive line is, or the linebacking core, the linebacking core, Greenlaw, Warner. The corners are, you got some good secondary. You know, the secondary itself, you got some good players back there. There's really not a question when it comes to skill on this team. My question is, how much juice do they have left? What do they got left in the tank? Really, that's my question. What do you got left in the tank? What's there? That's it. That's my question. But all in all, the team's coached by Kyle Shanahan, general managed by John Lynch. I trust the majority of what they do. I think losing Ayuk is actually a good idea. I do not believe keeping him around really helps your future enough, especially if you can get a first and a fifth, a second and a third for him. No. The way that the 49ers draft, I have to trust their drafting abilities. Brandon Ayuk is not one. He's not a one of a kind. He's not. He is a very good receiver that will help every receiving core in the NFL. Maybe not the Vikings. And maybe not the Dolphins. But I would say most every other team he would help right away. Maybe 4 or 5 teams that don't need Brandon Ayuk. And honestly, 49ers, how good you guys have been. You got Debo. You got Jawan Jennings. If Purcell's out, I told you guys, I like Bell. I would love to see if Bell could grow into an Ayuk-esque type of player. But I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. All right. It's been a longer podcast. Talked a little bit more at the beginning. Ran through, had a few more comments as we were running through the teams. And don't want to belabor this whatsoever for a Monday night podcast. So let's cut it off here on this, for me, gorgeous Saturday morning here where I live. Guys, thank you so much for listening. We are done with the training camp depth chart series. Don't forget, if you missed any of them, go back and listen. Skip to your part that you want to listen to. Skip to the team, whatever it may be. But go back and listen to them. And thank you so much for helping grow this channel one listen at a time. I deeply appreciate it. Guys, for Sports Talk with Hawk, for you guys on a Monday night, get some rest, have a fantastic night, and have a great Tuesday. For Sports Talk with Hawk, I'm Hawk, and I'm out.